Yo, 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 you're watching the internet's most passionate family, that Reyes family, and in this video, Sarah and I are going to tell you our little love story. And for those that are new to that Reyes family, we're just a family, a Mexican family that daily vlogs our lives in hopes to inspire people to live great lives. And so subscribe if you like this video. We got two little ones, Sadie and Bella, 4 and 6 at the time of this video. You guys have asked a lot about how you met. You know, what was your guys' love story? Tell us a little bit about it. How do you want to start this?
I was once a little girl.
Once upon a time, there was this, I'll start with my story first, okay?
Okay.
So once upon a time, there was this crazy little wannabe thug in Sacramento, California. Grew up in a home, you know, didn't have high hopes of like this fairy tale, you know, marriage and life for myself, and all that to say that, you know, there were some things in my life that I regret. But because of some of those things that happened to me in life and things that I did to myself, it took me to a place in my life where I was really depressed. I have a mentor. I love mentors. If you watch the show, you know that I think mentorship and looking up to people are really critical. But a mentor friend of mine called me up and said, dude, you're down and out. You're coming with me to Othello, Washington. I had no idea where the heck this Othello, Washington was. All I heard about was Seattle because of the Supersonics. And so we went on this trip, and it was a trip.
You were how old?
I was 21, I think.
And I was 16.
Robbing the cradle already, throwing that out there. But I didn't rob the cradle, okay? I did it all legit, all legal. So on this trip, you know, this guy's just, you know, talking to me about, man, you know, you made mistakes in life. However, there's a different way. There's forgiveness, there's grace, there's hope for everyone, for all of us. And that's a lot of what we talk about, man, is if you watch one of our most recent Motivation Mondays, as we do, we just, you know, want to inspire people during a season that's joyous and happy. There's a lot of people that, you know, are down and out. And so at that time I was down and out, but I had someone to help pick me up. And so we went on this trip, and he just started speaking those things into my life and encouraging me. And went to this trip, and basically what he did at the time was he traveled all over the West Coast teaching, you know, going to high schools and doing assemblies and positive motivational speaking, and it was really cool. So I went with him with this traveling group called City Impact, and they went to all these different schools.
My school.
And we ended up going to her school. And
high school.
Yeah, your school, high school. Hey, man, you keep robbing the cradle. Anyway, so go ahead. So that's kind of, I went and wanted to experience this, and it was just a really emotional time for me, and just was really feeling really down and out about my life and where I was headed, and I just was not happy where I was at. But then, yeah, but then this is where the music would start in the movie. Like the Coldplay songs. Well, that's not Coldplay, but okay. Okay,
So I grew up in a family who was super close, and there was a lot of us, a lot of Mexicans. My dad is one of 11, my mom is one of 4 kids, and we were always super close. I had a lot of really good examples of relationships and family around me. And as a young girl, my parents just always instilled, like, you know, waiting until you were older to date anyone, and we weren't allowed to have boyfriends young or anything. So when I was in high school, that started to happen here and there, and you just have like little random relationships that end up not meaning anything. But when I was 16 years old, going to high school, you know, you're with friends and guys and hanging out with girls, but my parents always made sure that we were never alone, all that stuff. We always had to be in a group setting or have what was it called that they made, with, like, Ashley would come with me or whatever. A chaperone. There was always a chaperone. You always were in 3 or 5, or there was always a ton of people around to keep us out of trouble. So my parents did a really good job doing that. I was not perfect, but I tried my best and tried to make my dad proud, because he was really encouraged me and obviously my other siblings to just live a good life and to wait for that special person. So I was 16 years old, and all of a sudden I see this guy who comes into our high school with the team and there was just something about him that really caught my eye. And I was young and I knew he was older, but we somehow
About
exchanged
4.5, 5 years.
yeah,
I'll put
almost
it out
5
there.
years. So I knew at the time there was never going to be like some kind of romantic relationship at all, but I knew that he was a good guy because he was around my uncle's. My uncle, who ended up being his pastor, he was with one of his associate pastors, and somebody that we knew in our family for a long time. So I knew that he was a good person, and I wanted to get to know him more. Just, it was never like, oh, I like this guy. But at that time, when I was 16, the first time you came to our school, we exchanged just AOL.
MSN Messenger.
MSN Messenger, that was that
Little chat, like chatting.
The little chat that was really cool before there was text messages and cell phones.
Snapchat.
All that social media stuff.
Yeah.
That was our first, like, so we exchanged names.
And it was like all innocent, like all of it.
He was friends with my best friend and like a couple of my girlfriends, and we were all like, there's this guy in California that we all know, and we just got to know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was when I was 16. I think 2 years later, you guys came again?
Yeah, so at that time, I saw Sarah and I was like, wow, she's a cutie. But again, it was totally innocent because I was going through some things and that I had to deal with. And so for the next 2 years, I dealt with those things, like a year and a half, dealt with those things in my life, and fixed a lot of things in my life. And man, just thinking about it now, it's just crazy how sometimes you don't get what you want when you want it, or sometimes you just gotta fix certain things for doors to open. And about a year and a half, 2 years later, we went to Washington, Seattle, where we live now. It's crazy, and we did this like summer camp for folks in the Washington, Oregon area. And
it was through church stuff.
Yeah, through some church stuff.
The church that I went to the youth group, the one that he went to the youth group, they all kind of combined.
Yeah.
And we met at this, it was like a youth camp.
Her uncle was this like really big pastor, they call it like a district youth director, and so he basically planned a bunch of events from like 400 people up to 4,000 people at the peak. And so so he would travel and I'd travel with him. I was kind of like, someone that looked up to him, and I was like an intern to him. And so I went to this event and I was very busy walking around the whole event,
and I kept noticing, like, he walked around a lot.
I just was getting stuff done. That's what I do.
And there I was with all my girlfriends and just thinking like, oh my gosh, there he is again. But I knew him, had kind of a friendship with him, but there was just something different happening in my heart at the time. Next time I saw you. Yeah,
so, I seen her over the weekend. I seen her, we probably chatted a couple times or whatever.
But what was happening in your heart?
Honestly, nothing. Sorry. Nothing was, I was there like to focus. Like I wasn't at the time like, like looking for anything. I wasn't looking for anything, and I just kind of wanted to do my work really hard and at these events, and I wasn't really looking for anything until like the last day. So you go to this event, you feel like you can change the world, and it's like, man, I just feel like so inspired, like you can do anything. And everybody's leaving, everybody's saying bye, and so I'm kind of rounding this corner of this hallway, and for some reason I see her standing there. I swear to goodness, like I've never ever in my life, just the way I was brought up, like I was never scared of girls or intimidated by girls. That like never fazed me. But for some reason I looked at her and like, oh my gosh, like I felt it felt like, I swear, it was like slow motion. I don't know how I got from around the corner to about 20-30 feet to her. Felt like I was like floating on clouds. And I just like looked at her a different way. I was like, man, like this girl is like the first time I ever felt like something like that inside, where I just didn't know what to say. So I went up to her and I had this pen in my ear.
I was sitting down at this point.
She was sitting down with her friends. And it was all, for some reason, like I feel like everyone's talking and things are going on, but I just locked in to this girl's eyes, and I got on my knees and I wrote, grabbed my pen and wrote my name on her jeans. Which is like, if someone walked up to you right now and wrote on your jeans, you'd be like, homie, these cost me like $125 from Macy's or Target, like $20, $30 at Target. I don't know, but like that's money. And like I wrote on her pants. That is like the most worst,
on
ridiculous.
My leg, he wrote Alejandro.
Yeah, worst ridiculous like pickup line ever.
There was no line though.
There was no line. It was a line. It was just like Alejandro. I guess I was like marking my territory. I don't know what the heck was going on. But man, I just
so that happened, and then we leave, say bye, like. Not where there was any.
Yeah,
we
you
had,
guys.
Like, taken a picture together. Though.
Yeah, we took a picture. So at the time they leave and we leave, and on the way,
we get on like we get on the bus, or like our youth group gets on the bus to go home because we were in Seattle.
Yeah.
When that happened, so we go back to Eastern Washington, where I'm from, and I tell my friend Isaac. He actually is like one of my my best friend, guy friend. Call him my big brother. He just got married, but. I told him, I was like, Isaac, I'm gonna marry that guy. And he was like, what in the world? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. I don't know why I said it. I didn't tell any other people. I was sitting by Isaac and I said, I'm gonna marry Alejandro. And he was like, all right. And like, it was just that was it. That's all that really happened. We didn't talk about it more or anything. But obviously something was happening where I was just like, I'm gonna marry him.
So I think I was texting him or something like, hey man, like, so good to meet you, man. Like, love all your people, man. People from California, like, there was like kind of like friendship with people in Othello where where her uncle Nick was at, my pastor. And so, we kind of all, it's like, hey, we're gonna be friends. And so we'll probably see each other again. And so he was texting me, and then he ends up telling me, like, dude, Sarah said she's gonna marry you.
My best friend blabbers my feelings to this guy that I had never said that to.
So-called best friend Isaac. I'm just kidding.
Well, thank him now. But.
Thank him. Yeah. It's all his fault. But yeah. So he told me that. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. And at the time, she's like 17 and a half. And so I'm like,
August, yes.
And so again, like, wow, I got right on this girl. Like, there was something there, and I didn't think anything more. It was just like it was there. But, I was really nervous because she's 17 and a half and,
legal.
2 states away, not legal. Yeah, exactly. And she's my pastor's niece. I don't remember what happened. Like, we just, for some reason, like, I think I asked you, like, what did you tell Isaac or something like that?
And I don't even know what happened, really.
I don't remember what happened, but we just started talking.
And it went from MSN Messenger to phone calls.
Phone calls very, very quickly, talking like 4 or 5 in the morning. I can't even stay up like that right now.
You can't.
No, I'm like an old man. I go to bed, like I go get in my bed and I'm like asleep in 30 seconds. And like before, I was like, was so interested in her, and we just started talking, and you ended up getting a cell phone bill. Your dad.
Yes, so I got a cell phone bill. This is like before there was
Your dad
like
got a cell phone bill.
Mobile to mobile, yeah, my dad. So we were talking on the phone. Obviously, I went over my minutes, and my dad got a $600 cell phone bill.
Yeah,
and
that was like $700, but okay.
No, it was like...
Okay.
It was bad, and my dad was mad, and it was not good. And all of a sudden, it was like, who are you talking to? Who's this guy from 916 area code? Because we were 916. And he was really upset, so I had to get a job. Because I knew I wasn't going to stop talking to him, so I got a job so I could pay for the cell phone bills. But my dad was not happy.
Things progressed, and 11 years ago today, to the date, I told her for the first time, it was December 5th, 2003. I told her I loved her, and she told me, thankfully back, she told me she loved me. And, we actually, it was weird. We're like, hey, we just want to see if this is for real. Keep in mind, she's 18 by the time like 3 weeks before that, she turned 18. 4 weeks before that, she turned 18 in November. So, legal, all checks out. And December 5th, we just kind of talked. It's like, hey, man, let's just, for whatever reason, let's, like, spend 20 days just to kind of think about this. We won't talk for 20 days. We'll talk on New Year's Eve, Christmas, and we'll just see how we feel after that. And for me and her, obviously, we grew, like, I couldn't, like, I wanted to talk to her, but I also wanted to give some time to really know what I want, because I'm the type, I didn't want to, like, waste time at this point. I wanted to, be with someone. I didn't want to date. I wanted to, like, marry someone. And so we talked December 25th, and the feelings were still there, and if not more. And shortly after that, we continued to talk. She moved to California, and with...
Pause.
Okay.
This is December 2003.
Yes.
Everything's happening.
Yes.
Thumbs up. Talking almost every day. I graduate in June of 2004. He comes a week and a half later.
Yeah.
And on June 22nd.
Like 3 days later, something like that.
No, because I graduated at the beginning of the month.
Oh, okay.
like June 22nd, he asked me officially to be his girlfriend.
I asked her dad first.
Yes, he did ask my dad.
I asked her dad first. I went up there the moment she graduated, the moment when I was done with this internship program, like literally 2 days after my internship program, went out there, and I asked her dad first. And
if he could date me, pursue me.
And luckily he said yes, and I'm surprised that he did. Because I was like, who's this kid from California wanting to date my daughter who just turned 18 years old? He's in California.
Just graduated high school.
And yeah, and so that was just a great week together, and there was a party for you at that time, and it was really emotional for your mom because your mom knew that you were going to be moving to California.
That was the plan always. I had, since I was a little girl, we have video of me and my cousin saying, we're gonna move to California. We're like 2 and 3 years old. That was just like, California was like the dream when we were younger, living in this small farm town. So I graduated high school, and I knew I was going to move to California. My dad has three brothers who lived in Sacramento, so I was moving in with my dad's youngest brother. And I think that was the only reason why my dad and mom actually said, you can, because I was going with family, not just some guy. And all of my dad's brothers were with Alejandro on an almost weekly basis because of church stuff. So my dad trusted, to the best of his ability, letting his 18-year-old daughter move 2 states away and to pursue. He knew I wasn't, my dad's not crazy, he knew I wasn't going for school, even though that's what I was like, I'm gonna go to junior college. But my dad knew I was going for him because he knew I was in love with him. As
unhappy as he probably was, like, I think that there was a level of trust that her dad had with Sarah for being such a great girl growing up, and then just like the Lord, praise the Lord.
Although August, I moved to I make the move. I actually went on a mission trip to El Salvador, and from there, like, I packed all my bags, go on the mission trip, come back, and my parents meet me in Sacramento when I get back from El Salvador, and they're there to bring all my stuff and also to buy me a car. So my parents go help me buy a car. And we're sitting at Applebee's after, and for 2 hours my mom was sobbing and saying, we can take you home right now. Like, we can just like take your car and all your stuff right back to Washington. I think that's when it really hit my mom that her daughter was moving. And it was a really emotional lunch and a long one. I think it was just really hard for her to let me move away. And that's when it really, really hit her.
Really hit her, and the next thing is pretty crazy. Stay tuned for part 2. See what happens. Does Sarah stay, or does she go back to Othello for a few weeks?